What's good, everybody? Welcome into Early Edge Live as we count down to Sunday Night Football tonight. A big one in the AFC. The Dolphins laying 3 over the Chargers, just about an hour from where I'm sitting right now at SoFi Stadium. I am the coach, and this is your daily sports betting brand of record, and we are powered, as always, as you see, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it's not close. A tip of the cap to several teams today. Shock in the world. The Jags go on the road, score 36, beat Tennessee. The Eagles score 48. They laid on the Giants on the road. The 49ers finishing a beatdown of Tom Brady and the Bucs, and the Panthers winning in Seattle, and the Chiefs blowing a 27-point lead to not cover the 9 points today and win by 6. Oh, what a day it was. But as you know, Sunday night, it's our night. Let's bring in the stars of the show because I got the absolute very best at my disposal. First and foremost, a man who's very happy right now because he is the epitome, the expert, the genius of live betting the NFL. M Squared, live from Nashville, Tennessee, the penthouse level. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Coach. The genius of getting lucky today. Sometimes it is better to be a little lucky than good. Yeah, very happy the Chiefs won and won by a particular margin. It's a nice night now at this point. Ready for this game, though.
Very much so. We will dissect it here in a second. Good thing we had that moneyline parlay by you this morning. So even though they didn't cover, we still won a little bit of cash for those that didn't do what Mikey did today. Now, he is the most handsome man in all of the Early Edge universe. And having another solid day today, I believe. The last hour, I haven't really been paying a lot of attention, getting ready for the show. He is Sia Najat. Sia, good evening, sir.
Yeah, Coach, couple solid days. So 4-1 on today from our prop show and from my extra bet on our final bets show today. So that brings my total to 12-2 over the last 2 weeks, which is on official plays, which is pretty cool. And on top of that, a pretty good DFS day. Mike McClure and I do a little show called Fantasy Football Today DFS, and I won some pretty good cash today in that as well. So let's roll that into this Chargers-Dolphins game.
You're damn right, and I am ready for it. Finally, the man is called Prop It 2 times. He is live from parts unknown. Prop Stars. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Coach. Cousin Sia, Mikey, great to see you. Average day for me in the prop streets, but we've got another game tonight. I have 2 picks that I love. I also love this matchup as well. I think this is going to be a really fun game.
It is going to be a fun game. You got 2 teams that very much think the playoffs are still alive. The Dolphins are only 1 game back of the 1 seed, but they're currently the 6th seed in the AFC. The Chargers, there's 7 teams that have a better record than they do, so they have no wiggle room whatsoever. So let's get into it. If you are brand new to the Early Edge and the primetime shows, we go through our best bets. We do any prop that you throw into the chat. We'll try to discuss it. Throw the juice for me as well. It really helps my guys handicap them as well. Then later, I need you to hit that like button for me because I need 500 likes to give out the donkey tonight, the goose tonight. Also, we're doing the gym. Who's going to be the next person to get into Club Cachet? Is tonight Sia's night? We will find out over the course of the next hour. All right, so as I said, we start with our best bets, so you guys have plenty of time to get them in before the game starts in about 45 minutes or so. So, Alex, you just said it. You got best bets tonight. Start us off.
Yeah, first up, we're going Jeff Wilson. Gave this out at 40.5 rushing yards. It's presently 44 on DraftKings. I actually think it's still playable there. Listen, you can throw out, in my opinion, that 1 carry, 3-yard performance we saw last week against the San Francisco 49ers. That is one of the best run defenses in the NFL. The Dolphins also found themselves playing from behind and just completely abandoned the run. Now we get the Chargers, who are one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. AB mentioned before we went live tonight that they have given up or are on pace to give up more yards on the ground than any defense in NFL history. So doesn't get better from a matchup perspective. Also, Jeff Wilson has really outplayed Raheem Mostert, even including that dud last week. Since joining the Dolphins, he looks really good to me. If you look at a lot of the advanced metrics, he's outperformed him there quite a bit as well. This just also is the favorable matchup. As I mentioned, we're going to see the Dolphins have a balanced attack against the Chargers. They're one of the biggest run funnels in the NFL this season. And yeah, Jeff Wilson seems to be the preferred back when they are playing in a tight game or where they're playing with a lead, which I anticipate they're going to do tonight. So we're getting a solid discount here. As I mentioned, it's 44.5 currently. I still think it's playable there. If you want to be a little bit conservative, you can scale down your wager size, maybe bet a half unit on it. But love Jeff Wilson. If you caught this on Friday, you've gotten some nice closing line value there. Next up, we've got Austin Eckler under 48.5 rushing yards. This one also gave us some nice closing line value. It's presently 44.5 yards on DraftKings. Eckler has really struggled on the ground. He's been phenomenal through the air, but as far as rushing yards go, he has been held under this 49 yards in 6 of his last 7 games, including 9 of 12 games this year. He's averaging just under 49 rushing yards per game, and that number's inflated because he played Cleveland and ran for over 170 yards. If you deducted that game, he'd be looking around like 37, 38 rushing yards per game. He's also failed to log 11 carries in 4 of his last 6 games as well. Not a ton of usage, as I mentioned, as far as running the ball goes. He gets a ton of usage in the short area passing game, which is almost an extension of the run game. Also, Josh Kelly had just half as many carries as Eckler did last week. Also, just wanted to point out the Dolphins are a really tough run defense as well. They've given up the 4th fewest yards to opposing running backs on the ground this season. They're 9th in rushing DVOA compared to 23rd in passing DVOA. So I just think they're going to continue to utilize Eckler in the short area passing game. He's not going to get over a dozen attempts. So really like him under 48.5 rushing yards. I, however, would hold off on this 44.5 number.
Okay. 4 yards when you're doing a rushing prop is a lot, especially when it's coming down instead of going up. Prop stars, thank you for getting us started. Now, see ya. I'm looking at your name, and I believe that Mr. Josh Palmer is somebody you like tonight. Am I right?
I do. And so there's reasons not to like him. I just want to point them out really quick. And it's because a lot of the damage he's done, especially from a target standpoint, have been when Keenan Allen and or Mike Williams have been out. But I think he's at such a pace, particularly with his targets, that he sort of just can't be denied in terms of getting some looks in this game. I'll note over the last 5 games, he's got a total of 46 targets, which is an average of 9.2 targets per game. Again, those have been games with either Keenan or Mike Williams out or both. But again, I think he's going to be a target in this game. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to look to take out Keenan and perhaps Mike Williams, but I can't even guarantee you that Mike Williams is going to get a full snap count. So what I'm seeing is Josh Palmer at plus money in a lot of places, over 47.5 receiving yards. You can pretty much get this number anywhere. In fact, at FanDuel, which I didn't want to give this out at the FanDuel number because it's the only book that has it, but they have it at 42.5. Every other book has it at 47.5 at plus money or, minus 105, depending on which book you're playing at. But again, I think Josh Palmer has earned his targets, and we know that the Chargers can't run the ball. They just can't run the ball. So you notice Herbert's passing yards prop, which we'll go over later. It's about 300, 304, depending on where you're looking at. I think some of that still goes to Josh Palmer. And against this Dolphins secondary, I think it's good. And I don't think it's going to be just Keenan Allen and just Mike Williams that do the damage there, and Eckler, of course.
And to back you up, the book that I use has 45.5. Mm-hmm. So it's still in that area to play for everybody, which is freaking great because you guys are so good. If we give it out on Friday, it moves, as we just saw, at least 4 yards. It's a great time to promote our Friday show, 4 p.m. Eastern, every single Friday. Prop stars, see you and Uncle Dave. And you need to watch that show live. I promise you that. All right. So now, voice of God, are you there? Voice of God, are you there?
We are here, sir.
Oh, you are there. I believe, voice of God, you look down on this game tonight and you believe there's one team that's going to score a lot of points in both halves. Am I right?
You are correct. And like Moses, we're going to part the Red Sea, call that the Chargers Sea, and we're going to play 2 here tonight. Dolphins first half, team total over 13.5. Dolphins second half, team total over 13.5. This is going to be a very, let me just say, extremely balanced Dolphins offense tonight. As props mentioned, the Chargers' run defense is horrid and on pace to be the worst in the NFL. The Dolphins will get the job done on the ground. They will also get the job done in the air. Remember, they played San Francisco last week. They did not fly back to Miami and then fly again to Los Angeles. They stayed in California to get themselves right and stay right. This team is going to be popping, especially after a tough loss. Take them both there.
And God, I read an article that Tua said this week, we learned last week against the 49ers the things that we need to work on. So you take the good things with what they had before that game, you take the fixes they had this week, and I'm making the Miami Dolphins my best bet for this show, -3. I think they roll today. I really, really do. The Chargers, even though they're 6-6, they're 1-3 in their last 4 games. They got dominated last week by the Raiders 27-20. The score was not really that close. I love the Dolphins to keep rolling tonight, improve, and stay right there with the Bills and Chiefs and all the top teams in the AFC. So those are our best bets. But Mikey, let me come to you. Do you like my Miami play tonight on that side?
I do not. I am adding a play here tonight on the Chargers. I have the Chargers plus 3.5, minus 120 currently on MGM. I like it at 3.5. You can play it at 3 if you want to. I think 3.5 is definitely a better number in this particular game. But I am going to be on the Chargers side tonight. I don't think the Miami secondary is any good. Obviously must-win game for the Chargers side. This is just the second time this season that the Chargers will have had Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Josh Palmer, Everett, all these guys in the lineup together, healthy at the same time. Just the second time all season. Primetime game like this. When we have a game like this that we're projecting to be a shootout, at least I am. I think one team can't stop the run and probably struggles with the pass. The other team definitely can't stop the pass, being the Miami Dolphins. I think this gets into a game that becomes a one-possession game. And when you're giving me the home team 3.5, I'm going to take the points here in this one. And, of course, we'll look to live bet it potentially, but I'm going to take the points here with the Chargers. I think they're definitely a different team. When they've got Mike Williams and Gerald Everett both out there, they become a much more difficult cover defensively.
I think you're absolutely right. And I was so excited till the last 2 minutes. And now we all know my record against Mikey when I'm on the other side, especially in primetime games. Now, speaking of Gerald Everett, chat question, Alex. Gerald Everett over 3.5. I don't have the juice. Do you? Oh, minus 105. There you go. What do you think?
I don't mind it. As Mike mentioned, though, there are just a lot of mouths to feed in this Chargers offense. Mike Williams returning to the lineup. Keenan Allen looks to be fully healthy. Mike Williams also practiced in full. Joshua Palmer has asserted himself as a very good wide receiver. Then we also have Austin Eckler, who I believe is 3rd in the NFL in catches. So if you look around this Chargers offense, there are just so many weapons, so many mouths to feed. I do like Everett. He's having a very good season. However, and this is a favorable matchup from the standpoint that there should be up-tempo, should be a lot of passing. I just don't know how reliable his target floor is going to be when you have all these other elite producers on the field alongside of him.
See ya. Go.
Yeah, just real quick, one slightly underrated thing here. Corey Linsley appears to be playing the center for the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think that's a really big deal. Last week, Herbert looked all out of sorts. Now, granted, they still have injuries across that offensive line, including at right tackle, but I do think getting this piece back on the offensive line is going to make the Chargers look way more competent in the passing game, at least relative to last week. Even though he threw for a ton of yards last week, but it just didn't seem super smooth. I think we're going to see a little bit better effort this week in terms of the passing game.
Okay, very good. Mikey, let me come back to you because you mentioned it's going to be up-tempo. Alex, see ya. We both agree. We all agree that it's going to be this way, but it's a very, very high total. Maybe the highest I've seen all season, 54.5, 55 in some places. Is that too high to play, Mikey?
I don't think it's too high to play. I don't love it right now. I think that if we can find this thing down under 51.5, which I think we get if we don't have a touchdown in the first 2.5, 3 minutes of this game. Alex talks about this a lot with props. When you get to bigger numbers like these, a lot has to go right for this to come in. It's not quite to the point in college football where we see totals in the high 60s where you basically can have a maximum of 2 punts in a game for it to happen. It's not quite that situation, but a lot has to go right. So I'm not touching the total just yet. If you made me play it, I would play the over, but I'd like to get it down under 51.5. So I'm gonna take my chances and hope we have a little bit of a slower start. Hopefully for my sake on the Miami side, and we play a little catch up and we can potentially take advantage of a really nice number in game. Because I think the thing, if you're live betting this game, you're going to want to look for, you want the Chargers to have a lead in this game. If you find a spot where the Chargers have a lead or we don't have a lead on the Miami side, we could see a significant number of points from mid third quarter on in this game.
Okay. Very, very good. Very, very good. Alex, let me come to you because they're asking about all the mouths that the Dolphins have to feed. Tyreek, I don't know that I've seen his number higher, 98.5 minus 109, than Waddle, who's been amazing. His number, my goodness, it's like I can't find anything today. I can't find his number right now, but I'm sure you have it. Do you like both of those guys?
What's not to like with these guys, Coach? We have such a condensed target tree when we look at Miami. Tua locks in on Tyreek, he locks in on Waddle, and these are two of the best in the business. Waddle, interesting, his number opened at 62.5. Around Friday, he shot all the way up to 70. Yesterday, it dipped back down to 62.5 and now is back to 70. So some interesting line movement on Waddle. But if you look at this matchup, it's excellent. Any matchup really that's up tempo is great for Waddle. He has a deeper ADOT than Tyreek Hill. So if Tua has time, that will allow Waddle, who leads the NFL in 20-plus yard receptions this season, to get open. He doesn't need a ton of targets to eclipse 62 yards if you are fortunate enough to get him there. I think the 70 number is fairly efficient. As far as Tyreek, when we're looking at triple digits, that's just a huge number. Mike alluded to it when he was talking about the total. A lot has to happen. It does happen for Tyreek. He is the engine of this offense, but he also is going to receive a tremendous amount of defensive attention. Easier said than done, stopping this guy with a high safety and bracket coverage. But yeah, for triple digits, you really need all the favorable conditions to check off. For me, I'm staying away. I do think there is some value for Waddle, though, even in that 70-yard range.
I will say this, that about 7 hours ago, one person on this crew said, I love Justin Jefferson today. In fact, I think he could go over 200 yards, lead the NFL in receiving this week. What happened today, Alex?
213 yards, a franchise record for, in my opinion, the best receiver, best player in the NFL. I would also suggest that he is the best receiver in NFL history, potentially.
Ooh. Wow.
I worked with Jerry Rice. Now, he was not the analyst that he was the wide receiver. I can tell you that. Classic. One time I asked him, I said, hey, Jerry, I said, what do the Patriots have to do tonight to beat the Jets? He looked at me and he says, Coach, they have to play great on offense and defense. And that was it.
Truer words never spoken.
Never. I don't know who was worth, him or Emmitt Smith, but I loved them both. Great dudes, just not great for TV. That's all I'm going to say. Now, Sean in the chat said, I love all you guys, but when M Squared talks, I shush the room. That's so funny, Sean. That's exactly what Mikey does too. He does the same thing. It's amazing how you guys are so alike. All right, let me come to you. See ya. Because tonight there are two quarterbacks that were taken one selection apart in the 2020 draft. Tua 5th, Justin Herbert 6th. There is a boost, I believe, at DraftKings both to throw for over 250 yards, but their numbers 288.5, Justin Herbert 299.5. Your thoughts?
I was close to actually, my official play was going to be Justin Herbert's over in yards. It was 300.5. It looks like it's ticked down to 299.5. I kind of like it, again, because the Chargers are going to be forced to pass more than anything, especially if the game script becomes negative for them, which I know is certainly debatable. But he has his full complement of targets. He's got an upgraded offensive line versus last week where he did throw for over 300 yards. But, he doesn't always throw for over 300 yards. Looking back at his game logs, it's not like he's clipping this every time. But this is the type of game where he probably ends up doing it, especially if Miami can push. I'm not interested in Tua's number. And part of the reason is because I think they're going to be able to establish the run. I like the Jeff Wilson play that Alex gave out. I think both Wilson and Mostert can run. And I think if Miami's smart, they're going to, just like Alan suggested, try to be a balanced attack, which could take away from Justin Herbert's passing yards ultimately, because it might take away maybe one or two possessions that we're expecting. And that's why I didn't make Herbert an official play. But I do like him. If I was going to lean one way, it would be Justin Herbert's over in yards.
Okay. Very, very good. Take all that information, soak it in, use it for yourselves. Mikey, I'm coming back to you now. We can't bet we can bet the over live in game. You can't bet team totals at most books. So let's talk team totals right now, because if it's going to be a high offensive game, the Dolphins are 27.5, but it's juiced heavy. I have minus 170, and the Chargers number is 24.5. First half, 14 and 12. Do you like any of that?
I don't like a lot of it pregame. I think that it likely ends up getting there. Yeah, just the slightest of leans on the Chargers over, just slightest. But makes sense. I'm on the Chargers side of the game, not on the Miami side of the game. I think they're mostly efficient. While we typically have some of those plays that we like to make, I think that there are better ways to attack this game than to try and isolate those numbers, which they always land on key numbers, obviously, but these ones are pretty big. So
when you say that, what do you mean?
I think there are better ways to bet the game, whether it be a player prop, a side on the game, the total on the game itself, as opposed to trying to isolate one of the two teams on the total. I would feel more comfortable just hitting the total in the game personally.
Okay. Very, very good. All right, Alex, let me come back to you. Chat question on the combo number. You may have said this on Austin Eckler. Right now it's at 89.5.
Yeah, we're actually getting a fairly favorable number because of, I think, Mike Williams returning to the lineup, a healthy Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, basically Herbert having his full collection of weapons healthy. But as I previously mentioned, this Miami run defense is very stout. They have been very good all season long, coupled with the fact that Eckler has just really struggled on the ground. When you're looking at him running between the tackles, been very inefficient, even in soft matchups. So I just don't really have a lot of confidence in him running, hence why we're fading him. I really think the best way to attack Eckler is going to be through the air. He has one of the highest target floors of not just any running back, any player in the NFL. So he's certainly going to be heavily involved in the short area passing game. You're also getting a discount on his receiving numbers because of the fact that Justin Herbert has Mike Williams back in the lineup and a healthy Keenan Allen, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm only looking at Eckler's receiving props. I would stay away for anything that involves his rushing props.
Okay, and you just brought up the name that I'm going to ask Sia about, because Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, when they're together, there's no doubt about it. I'm a little bit scared of my Dolphins pick because when they're together, they are dynamic. They're catch number 3.5 for Mike Williams, 5.5 Keenan Allen. Let's start there with the catches, then we'll go to the yards.
Yeah, I kind of like Keenan Allen. Again, I think we're going to see a ton of completions. Just so you know, I did look at the Herbert completions prop, because if anybody that listens to me knows that that's one of the first things I look at when I'm, setting up for the prop show on Friday. His completions total is really high. It was like curiously high. I mean, it was like 27.5. So I do think a lot of that volume is going to go to guys like Keenan, not so much Mike Williams. I think the 5.5 number is very fair for Keenan. Mike Williams, 3.5, it's a low number. But again, there's so many unknowns about Mike Williams, including, is he going to play a full complement of snaps? I think they're going to try to play him a full complement of snaps, which is why I think we got the Josh Palmer number at plus money. But with that said, maybe this is just a bad bias on my part. I'm afraid of his ankle. When he has a healthy ankle, I'm afraid of his ankle. And we know he has kind of a gimpy ankle that I know he fully practiced on, but I'm just not interested in going there with Mike Williams. But I got to say, it's a very fair number. Minus 130, 3.5, which somebody put in the chat. I certainly think it's bettable. I'm just not going to bet it.
And you're showing on the screen right now, AB doing a great job of producing for us tonight. There you see the numbers for Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Why don't you address these, Alex? I know you have something to say. Why don't you talk about these two as well?
Yeah, as far as Keenan Allen goes, in previous seasons, we saw massive target shares for him. I know he's only appeared in, I believe 5 games this season, but he's not commanding the same target share that he has in previous years. He's only had 6 receptions one time this season. That came last week against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are the worst pass defense in the NFL. He also got his 6th reception on the final play of the game, I believe. So he even struggled to get 6 receptions last week against the Vegas Raiders with Mike Williams playing in a very limited fashion. He did practice all week. So Austin Eckler has really become the preferred target or the number one target in this passing offense. So we're not seeing the same big workloads that we did previously for Keenan. I actually have some confidence in Mike Williams, considering he practiced in full, got out there a little bit last week. To me, I expect his role to expand a bunch. Considering you can get a healthy discount, I do think there is some value at that 3.5 number.
Okay. So if you were to play, you'd fade Keenan at 5.5?
I wouldn't fade Keenan. I just don't have the same confidence in him as I do Mike Williams at 3.5.
Okay, very good. Mikey, did you have something? Or did
I just want to mention on Mike Williams and some of these other players, keep in mind in a game that's going to see as many passing attempts as this, The player can have a big impact on the game without catching a pass. Like someone like Mike Williams just commands so much attention, is very good at drawing pass interference flags, things like that can have a massive impact on the game. You can look like he's impacting the game, and you can still come up short on some of your props, even though he had maybe the biggest impact on the game.
Yeah.
So I do like Mike Williams. The number is certainly hedged. If we knew he was 100% healthy, this number would be 59 to 62 yards probably, like if he had been playing. But like Alex, I'm willing to speculate on it personally. I think that if you want to look at his receiving yards or the longest reception, I think he's definitely going to see multiple 30-yard shots down the field tonight.
Real quick, 39.5 on the attempts for Herbert.
39.5 on the attempts. That's exactly where I have it. I have 39.5 there and 36.8 on Tua.
Okay. Well, right now I've got Tua at 35.5, so very, very, very efficient. See, did you have something? Your face looks like you have something. No?
No, I mean, when you mentioned the pass attempts, I actually think the over might come in there, but I agree with Mike. I don't think there's an edge there.
Okay, Alex, go.
Yeah, as Mike mentioned, I really like speculating in these spots. So we saw Mike Williams return to the lineup last week. Obviously didn't play a full complement of snaps. Now he's got a week under his belt. He practiced all week. If he is going to have a 75 to 85 route participation, which is what his standard norm is, and I have a feeling he is, then you're getting like a 30 to 35% discount on all of his props. Those are spots that I feel like I can't pass up, are really, really worth speculating on. To me, there's a greater chance that he plays more than doesn't play. So I really like the Mike Williams spot.
All right, I may have to pull the trigger on over 3.5. I hate betting props, and I don't know how you guys are, but Mikey kind of alluded to it. When you're betting on one side, betting props on the other side is very difficult for me to do.
Well, how about this, Coach? For Larry's prop of Brady over 37.5 passing attempts, has one of the worst games of his career. They're down 35-0, and he cashes an over on his passing attempts. So that's the beauty of props, is it has typically zero effect on the outcome of the game. So
that's a great point. That's a great. I couldn't believe he texted that he hit that. I thought they'd probably yank
Brady up with 55 passing attempts.
It's insane. I did tell somebody on Twitter, they said, oh, the live total is 46.5 at like right after halftime. Because, oh, he'll score 2. And I said, be very careful. And I believe the final score was 35-7, was it not? I said, they're going to sit on the ball. Brock Purdy, by the way, the real deal. That dude can play quarterback. Mikey, I've got an idea. As we hit the top of the hour, a lot of people are dropping in right now. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Welcome into the Early Edge. For those of you watching on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify, we welcome all of you. Have we hit 500 likes yet? Are we there? AB?
We are close.
We are close.
Yeah, we're sitting right now 423. All right.
Okay.
75 more. Smash the hell out of it right now. Let's get there. We're running out of time.
All right, we're running out of time. We need 75 more. So while we're waiting for that, and I'm only going to give you 2 minutes, Mikey, what do you think about this? You and I had pretty good days on our different plays. Instead of having a showdown against each other, why don't we do this? Why don't we say we'll reward 2 people in the chat. If your plays hit at plus 3.5, you give away $100. And if my play hits, and even if it hits 3, I'll still do it, give away 2 $100 winners. Now, if you want to ride with, are you cool with that, Mikey? Can we do that? Yep. Okay. So if you want to ride with Mikey, write Mike into the chat. If you want to roll with your boy, write Coach into the chat. And then we will find 2 winners. And I hate sitting on 3, though, but I'm not about to give 3.5. I'm not about to give 3.5. What do I do? What do I do? Because I don't want to push. I want to pay somebody if we win. I got to figure that out. I'll figure it out. I'm not going to pay on a push because then I don't win. Right. All right. Maybe I'll buy it down
3.5 or
What can we do? You know what? I'm in the giving mood. It's the holidays. If it's 3 or we cover, I will give out 2 $100 winners. Oh, we've got a few, but as expected, most people, as expected, are rolling with our resident genius, M Squared. Doesn't surprise me. I'm just laser focused, baby. I am laser focused. All right.
Coach,
that should have been enough time.
Let me say this real quick. Yes. I first wrote Coach in the chat, so I'm rolling with you, even though mine doesn't count whatsoever. And we have hit 600 likes. The people have listened. So there you go.
Thank you for following instructions. Thank you very much. Now I'm even more hyped for tonight's game. Even more hyped but it's that time of the show that we have a little bit of fun, and we give away 2 same-game parlays. We call one the donkey, one the goose. And if you're brand new to the early edge, these are a ton of fun, and they cash usually more than they don't. But they're a lot of fun. They'll keep you interested for the entire game. So, Mikey, it is now time. The floor is yours. Give me the donkey.
All right, donkey parlay time. We're going Chargers plus 13.5, over 44.5 on the alternate total. Both quarterbacks over 249.5. Austin Eckler over 24.5 receiving yards. Jalen Waddle over 54.5. Keenan Allen over 49.5. Mike Williams over 34.5. And then finally, Jeff Wilson over 39.5 rushing yards, plus 850.
Ooh, that is tasty, that number, plus 850. By the way, I apologize. I need you guys to put your Twitter handle with whoever you're rolling with. So just type it in again and then put your Twitter handle so we can get a hold of you and tell you that you've won and send you the Venmo. No strings attached. No strings. We just send you $100 and you can bet with it. Do whatever you want with it. All right, but we need your Twitter handle. All right, now that's the donkey. I love that donkey. But we also have another person. Well, not really a person, but a mascot here at the Early Edge named Goose. And the Goose is a little bit smaller normally, but it still feels just as good when we cash it. Proppy 2 times. You're up.
Goose might as well be a person, I might add, Coach. And I just love to think about someone tuning in who hasn't watched our show and they hear you say, I love that donkey. I just like to think about what someone thinks when they hear that, Coach. But I also want to mention I did not converse with Mikey about the Goose prior to the stream. I love seeing how much we overlap. I also want to point out that I think this is a great game to build SGP same game parlays. I'll probably have quite a few, but this is one of my favorites. First up, we've got the Chargers team total over 17 points. The Dolphins over 21 points. Justin Herbert to throw for at least 250 yards. Tua to throw for at least 250 yards. Austin Eckler under 70 rushing yards. Jeff Wilson over 40 rushing yards. Jalen Waddle over 54 receiving yards. And Mike Williams over 35 receiving yards. I'd also say that Mike Williams one might be the riskiest leg of the parlay. So if you want to not include him, I understand. But I think this is a great buy low spot for Mike Williams. And as I mentioned, this is a great game for same game parlays, in my opinion.
All right, leave it up there for a second. Get it all taken care of. Get it in. We still have about 15 minutes until the game starts. She's got plenty of time. So we got 2 very important things left to do. We got to do the gym, and then we'll recap our best bets, and then we'll get the hell out of Dodge. Now, again, for those of you brand new to the brand, this is something we do that's a ton of fun. We have a little club. It's called Club Cachet. Very, very exclusive. And you only get in if you pick the first touchdown of a primetime NFL game, and it's got to be plus 1,000 or higher. If you'd like to play, find a name you like, put it into the chat. If it matches up with one of ours, then you get to roll into the club with us. Now, there is one face you will not see in said club, and we'll get to that. But there's a reason this man gets to go first, because he has a brand new nickname that he has been saying non-freaking stop since it happened for the second time the other day. So legally, I am bound to say, Proppy 2 times. You're up first, sir.
Yeah, and we're hoping to turn that into Proppy 3 times after tonight, Coach. I do want to quickly tip my proverbial cap to Mr. Sia Najad, cousin Sia. He is on a play I very much like. He got to it before me, but I did want to point that out. So kudos to Sia. I very much like his play. But we are going Gerald Everett. Was surprised to see the odds on this one. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I believe it's 2,200 for a guy that's going to be on the field for pretty much every single Herbert drop 2,800, excuse me. Yeah, I thought that was mispriced there. So, yeah, really like Gerald Everett, plus 2,800. I think he's got a great spot to get in the end zone tonight.
All right. So normally Mikey gets to go first because he invented this whole damn thing. But when you get in twice, you kind of trump that. So, Mikey, you're up next.
All right, let's go big Mike Williams. We talked about him a little bit tonight. He is back, has had a full week of practice. He is a massive target, not only in the red zone, but in a deep downfield target as well. I like his presence in the red zone, plus 1,200. Let's go Mike Williams. Chargers score first.
This is one of those rare games, isn't it, guys, where you got studs on both sides of the football, so you get a much better number for a guy like Mike Williams. Normally he'd be 700, 800, but not tonight. Now, voice of God, you, sir, are up next. Who do you like tonight?
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you what, as a member of the club, it feels good to be in here. And I'll tell you what, when you want to talk about feeling, you're going to throw it to your man, Keenan Allen, plus 1,100. It might even be plus 1,400, depending on the book that you're looking at. But you guys broke it down. There's no reason why I need to add on to what the great information that you guys gave. Keenan Allen is scoring first tonight.
Very, very interesting. The only problem I have with that, AB, is that the Dolphins are going to score first, and I believe I get to go next because I'm also in Club Cache, and it's so nice inside. They just renovated. They have new couches and brand new glasses that I like to. Everything that all of the crew could want, except for Sia. I'm going to go Mike Gesicki. Plus 1,500. Now, if you've watched the show the last 2 years, you've heard Proppy 2 times talk about this dude all the time. And tonight, Tua is going to be looking outside for Jalen and Tyreek, and who's going to come right across the middle, settle right down for a little 8-yard touchdown. Mike Gesicki, let's cash it and get me in for the second time in 2022. And let me remind you, I will be relentless if I get in before Sia gets in once. Relentless. So I'm just tipping that cap. All right, now, I'm looking at my notes. Jake the Snake is on Durham Smythe, plus 2,800. I don't even know who that is. And then Sia, I will say this, that your email got lost. And so Alex did say, I'm going to have this guy. But you'd already had it. It'd be a little irony if this happens tonight, sir. You're up.
Yeah, and by the way, Coach, if you do get into the second time, that would be pretty cute. But when you get in for the third time, we'll have a little chat. So, yeah, I've got Joshua Palmer. Obviously this is my official play as well, but I have him plus 1,700. Listen, and I think Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, to McClure's point earlier in the show, where he's going to draw some coverage. He's going to draw some deep coverage. Of course, Keenan Allen's going to draw some coverage. Well, on the first touchdown, I think a guy like, I think Gerald Everett is a candidate for that too, but I think a guy like Joshua Palmer gets lost in the shuffle, and he has gotten so many targets, and which means he has the faith of Justin Herbert in these high pressure, high circumstance situations. So give me Josh Palmer plus 1,700. By the way, I'm sitting here in Fort Lauderdale. He's from Fort Lauderdale, and he went to Tennessee. So the vibes, which we know Alan Bell is a big fan of, the vibes on Joshua Palmer are really, really great. That's why it's 100% fact that he's going to be your first touchdown scorer.
Fact.
I hope for you that this happens this year, this season. I really do. By the way, guys, I don't know if you guys know, I was in the Fort Lauderdale area last week, did not get an invite to see his house. Didn't even get a call. Just going to say that. All right. For those of you who came at the top, you probably missed our best bets, and we are down to about 5-6 minutes for showtime. So let's put the best bets up. 10 seconds or less. Let's go through them. Proppy, who do you like?
Yep, Austin Eckler under 48.5 rushing yards, down to 44.5. I would personally hold off there. Then we've got Jeff Wilson over 40.5 rushing yards. I believe this one's also exactly at 44.5. I do think there's a little bit of value, but I might scale down a half unit at that number.
See it. Talk to me.
Yeah, I've talked about Josh Palmer at length. I like him over 47.5 receiving yards. I just think he has commanded too much attention over the last 5 weeks for him to be forgotten about with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on the field. The last 5 weeks, again, 46 targets. I think he's going to get some targets. He'll surpass this total.
All right. Mikey, why do you like the Chargers tonight?
Like the Chargers a lot here. Love a primetime home dog in this particular spot, especially getting 3.5. I did lay the minus 120 on the 3.5 on it. Second time all season, Justin Herbert has had all of his weapons there, and I think they're healthy enough to get the job done against a very poor Miami secondary.
And I agree with that. It is a poor Miami secondary. I still like the Dolphins, though. I think they have way too many weapons to be stopped by the Dolphins. I wouldn't mind to do what Mikey did and buy it down to 2.5. If you get it from minus 120 or minus 130, I wouldn't hate that at all. That means a field goal would win. By the way, if you're with Mikey, and I see a lot of people are, if his covers tonight, he will send 2 $100 winners. Go ahead and put your Twitter handle into the chat. If I win, then I will send out 2 $100 winners, but we need your Twitter handle, and we will pick 2 at large. No strings attached, Venmo, and you're all good to go. Finally, AB is on the Dolphins' first half team total, both second half, first half over 13.5. He believes they will be very, very balanced throughout the game tonight. All right, it's just about time for the game to start. So we like to end every single game or every single show asking my crew, what's the number one most important thing you're looking forward to tonight? Mikey, start us off.
I'm looking forward to seeing how healthy Mike Williams is, hopefully watching him catch the first touchdown as the Chargers jump out to a lead. and really just a competitive game. A lot of elite players on both sides of the game of the ball here. So fun game ahead.
That's what I'm looking forward to. See ya. Well, how about you, big boy?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a really exciting game. Maybe as exciting as what we'll see next Sunday night when my Commanders host the New York Football Giants. If it can be that exciting, we are going to be in for something. By the way, Coach, I didn't know you were close in town, in proximity to me until after you had left. And I just wanted to let the 1,500 people in the chat know that.
We do have a big audience tonight. You're right about that. By the way, Kirby says Sia is too cool for Coach. I feel the same way, Kirby. I'm just not cool enough to hang out with Sia and the lovely wife at the abode. I get it. Proppy, talk to me.
Yeah, this projects to be a really high-scoring, very exciting matchup between two of the premier young quarterbacks in the NFL. Can't wait to see a ton of explosive weapons on both sides of the football. Also, can't wait to see Tyreek tonight with that massive game from Justin Jefferson. He actually eclipsed Tyreek for most receiving yards on the season. He's got about, I think, exactly a 100-yard lead over Tyreek heading in tonight. I know both these guys really want to end up as the top wide receiver in the NFL. So excited to see that.
Yeah, don't think for a second that Tyreek doesn't have an ego when it comes to that. When I met him, I was doing Madden, and he came to the EA Sports headquarters. Why? He was ticked off that he wasn't at a 99 yet. That's his ego. That's Tyreek Hill. And I'm very much looking forward to all we think about for these games is what Mikey said. We want competitive, we want fun, we want to be able to interact with all of you at home on Twitter or Instagram. That's all we want. Do we want to cash? Of course we do. But damn it, this is fun. And we love to have fun doing this. So with that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets, except the Chargers plus 3.5, straight to the pay window for all my entire career. Love them all. M squared, probably 2 times. C and Najad. AB, the voice of God on the 1s and the 2s. Hopefully you've enjoyed your day, first and foremost. Hopefully you've cashed a bunch of tickets, secondly. And thirdly, pay it forward. Do something nice for somebody if you did. That's what we're all about right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.